Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for deleting a precious childhood video of myself? When I, F25, was about 9-10 years old, my family got a camcorder that I was trusted to use with permission. One day I decided to go to our back garden and record a show that I named after myself. I was going to delete the video after recording it because I didn't want anyone to see it. The video was of me jumping around singing songs. However, my trousers fell down slightly a few times, so a majority of that video was of me showing off my underwear before yanking up my trousers and some other stuff I definitely didn't want anyone to see. My dad and little sister found the video a few hours later and teased me relentlessly for days about it, to the point I would hide in my room and cry because I couldn't be in the same room without being told how funny it was, how ridiculous I looked, how embarrassing it was, how bad my singing was, and that I should start exercising because I was out of breath from dancing around. I was a shy child, so having anyone see anything like this caused huge anxiety, which I expressed to my family, which just made the video a source of blackmail 4 years after that. The video was used as leverage to get me to do everything from cleaning the house to waiting on everyone hand and foot. If I ever said no to anything, they would say things like, "Wait until I show your friends. Maybe your aunts and cousins would like a viewing party, and this would be a great video for your 18th birthday." Eventually, I had enough. I had asked repeatedly from the day I made the video to stop making fun of me because it gave me anxiety and really upset me. I even point blank told my family if they didn't, I would delete it. My dad has taught me how to use computers since I was 2 years old, and I know how to find backups. So when he threatened to put it up on social media, I was 15, 16. I decided enough was enough. I deleted every single copy he had saved, and it was permanently gone. It took him months to notice, and when he did, everyone in my family had a go at me for deleting precious memories. I was told how selfish I was to take away something that they wanted to remember. I should note here, that was the only thing I deleted. I touched absolutely nothing else. It came up again last night. My whole family laid on me saying how ridiculous I was for deleting it, how I was such an awful person for deleting memories. My dad even piped up with, "That was the video me and your sisters would watch when you weren't around to laugh at you." I was told how disgraceful and horrible I was to delete something that meant so much, how they were disappointed in me, and that what I did was absolutely disgusting. I gave plenty of warning and was fed up with it being used against me every time someone didn't get their way. And I know from a parent's point of view, if I had kids I would want memories of them, but not at the expense of their mental health or as a form of emotional blackmail. So am I the antagonist? Your family is terrible. Opus. They are disturbing and mentally ill. They wanted to post it on social media. What would they do if it were them? Of course you removed it. It wasn't a priceless memory. Rather, it was a means of torturing or traumatizing a child. Comment by team member Alex. Now for the top comments. NTA. But you seem to have found yourself surrounded by a bunch of them. The fact that they all used this to blackmail her into doing their bidding says a lot. Precious memory? Dad literally admitted they watch it, have a laugh at op. This video was an instrument of torment. When it comes down to it, they are ours. And this is some of the worst bullying by family I've seen on this sub. And that's saying something. NTA. Opus. Your family are horrendous. They are bullying you for removing the ammunition they used to bully and humiliate you. Poor them. They are going to have to find a new way to bully and humiliate an innocent person. You did the right thing. Be careful never to attend online therapy from home, which they could record. Use passwords on all your devices, especially any with photos or videos. NTA. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom that she's not in the will so it's none of her business? Am I the antagonist for telling my mom if she's not on the will it's not her business? This is going to be somewhat long, but needed to get the point across. My grandmother died last year. My sister and I learned that she had left everything to us. This included her 250-acre farm. The money she had saved up wasn't life-changing, but still a good bit, and gas oil mineral rights which she was getting paid extremely well for. This all comes into play eventually. My mom and her didn't have the best relationship. They fought a lot, mostly because my mom didn't like how she did things. She also borrowed money from her a lot. It was always a substantial amount. When she died, we were at the farm for weekends on end, cleaning it out, going through things, etc. Anytime we came across something, my mom would look at my sister and I and would say, "I assume this place is yours now, it's up to you what you do with it." This was before the lawyer reached out about the will. Once she learned we met with the lawyer about the will, she had asked us for a copy. Just to clarify, there was nothing left for her. No money, land, nothing. All of a sudden, she became interested in how the will was set up. My sister and I know how she is. We said no. We knew she asked our grandma for money all of the time. We assumed she was afraid we wouldn't help her out like our grandma did. Every month she'd text me asking if I got my mineral rights check. She knew they were good from helping my grandma understand them. I always shied away from answering. I don't like talking about the money because I don't want treated any differently. She'd ask if the estate was settled, how much money we were getting, all that stuff. After asking multiple times, she finally broke down and told us that she needed to see how the will was set up so she could see why she wasn't in it. I finally had enough and told her if she was in the will, she would have been notified, and she wasn't, and it's none of her business. I feel bad for saying that to her, but my sister said it was the right thing to do. Am I the antagonist? Showing her wouldn't help anything. Be careful that she might argue against it. Just because she pushed you to give her something doesn't mean you have to. Don't indulge her. She knows she wasn't included in the will. Comment by team member Corey. Now for the top comments. NTA, you handled it exactly right. If your mother had been in the will, the lawyer would have told her, I am guessing she needs extra cash to make her bills, and your mother got used to your grandma bailing her out. I would guess she wants it reviewed as a precursor to contesting it. Your mom is likely probing to see if she can continue asking for financial help. Your finances are none of her business. A will is a public document. Mother just has to go to the courthouse or the county clerk where the will was filed and request a copy. It should only cost the amount of copying, from 50 cents per page to a few dollars. I assume mother doesn't know that, and the daughters probably don't want to tell her that either. But she may find out that she doesn't need their permission to see it, or a lawyer to get a copy. Am I the antagonist? I'm not letting my kids eat what my wife prepared. I and my wife have 3 kids aged 4 and 6 twins. Yesterday morning, I had cleaned out the refrigerator and got rid of some veggies that had been lying there for almost a week and were a bit soft, meaning that they were no longer good to eat, at least. I had put them into a plastic bag and kept them near the sink to be disposed of at night when I usually throw the trash. I told my wife that the veggies in the bag near the sink looked off to me, so I'd be throwing them that night. She said okay. I dropped the kids to school and went to work after that. When I came home, my wife had prepared the dinner, so I just got cleaned up and we sat down to dinner. My wife got up to get some yogurt for herself, and I was serving food on everyone's plates. Just as I started to serve myself, I felt the food was smelling really bad to the point of making me nauseous. I asked my wife, what ingredients did she put in the food? She said just the usual meat and veggies. However, there had been no fresh ingredients at home yesterday morning when I left home, so I asked her if she went and brought fresh meat and veggies from the supermarket. She looked a bit taken aback by my questions and hesitated a bit before answering yes. I knew then that she'd used the very food that I'd kept near the sink in the plastic bag. I took the kids' plates away and was about to take her plate as well when she said that I was being overdramatic and that the food didn't smell bad at all to her or the kids. She said that the kids didn't even complain and I'm making such an issue out of nothing. The thing is, I'm very sensitive to smell, and I was 100% sure that the food wasn't fit to be eaten by the kids. I told her that she can eat rotten food if she likes, but our kids will not be eating it. I got the kids and myself a cup noodle each as it would take very long for me to cook for us, and it was nearly bedtime for them too. This morning, Since I woke up, my wife has been ignoring me and refused to cook for the kids until we finished the stew that she prepared last night. I proceeded to cook food for me and the kids. When she saw that I cooked another meal, she went to stay at her mom's place and is refusing to come back. Am I the antagonist? Edit 1. I did put the veggies and meat into a trash bag and kept it near the sink as usual so that we can keep adding kitchen waste into it throughout the day. I did not leave the spoiled food on the kitchen counter. We don't keep the kitchen waste trash bag outside because street dogs attack the trash bags and dirty the whole place. We throw trash in the garbage truck at night because the garbage truck is parked near our house every night. Edit 2. My wife did not eat the food she prepared. She often goes to her mom's place when we argue. Edit 3. I'm Indian. It's possible that something was wrong with the stew. If you noticed an scent coming from it, vegetables that are a little wrinkled and limp can usually still be utilized, but they aren't of the highest quality because the moisture has already evaporated. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. Info. Did your wife end up eating it herself, or did she not even want it? Honestly, my husband has a very different sense of time. What to him is a week old is actually like I bought them on Saturday and it's Thursday. Veggies can be soft, but still edible, especially if there isn't black or mold on them. Imo. The US has a problem with wasting good that isn't bad, just doesn't look perfect. Making a stew is a good way to avoid that. Boiling it for a while helps with the texture. If it's not perfect, did she eat it? And is she feeling okay? Why do I feel like something is off here? I'm trying to figure out why he left a bag of rotted food on the counter instead of just tossing it out. OP had clarified that they can't toss it out immediately because the street dogs mess up the trash. NTA. Your wife didn't even eat the food she made. I don't understand why she's being so insistent about everyone else eating it. Seems like maybe there is another issue here, and she's using this as an excuse to run off to her mother's for a bit. Am I the antagonist for refusing to let my sister have my wedding dress? I, F26, was supposed to get married to my fiance, M30, on August 17th th. 2021. But he passed away suddenly in a car accident a month before. It was so devastating, and pain is pretty much raw for me. I moved back with my parents to get so familiarity and support. My parents have been so helpful, but my twin sister and I aren't so close. She's engaged and getting married before the end of this year. She keeps ranting about her future in-laws expecting her to pay so much money for venue and invite many guests. She and her fiance can't afford much, and last week she and my mom asked if she could have my wedding dress to wear at her wedding. I was shocked by her request, but didn't react intensely. I just politely declined. She and mom started talking about financial struggles and how I have the potential to help, but I refused to and being negative. I explained to them how this dress has personal attachment and value after they said the wedding didn't happen anyway and I didn't get to make memories in it, which was hard to hear. An argument ensued and my sister called me selfish and unsupportive. Mom still sided with her and said I was wrong and that this dress will only stay hanging in the closet if I don't do something with it, since my fiance isn't coming back and I refuse to move on even though it hasn't even been that long. Dad is on my side, but I started feeling like maybe I'm not being helpful seeing my sister struggling and needing help. Mom said this might make or break our relationship for the years to come, especially when I don't have many people around me after this loss. Am the Ashala for refusing to let her have it? By the way, the dress cost me $2,200 that I'd saved up on my own. They claim I'm refusing because of its price and even went as far as to say that I must be planning on selling it or expect them to pay for it. Don't let them locate that dress anywhere, please. They have no right to demand it or make demands for how long your grieving process should last. If you can, I would leave your parents' house and maintain minimal contact with your mother. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. I was called selfish and unsupportive by my sister. Well, isn't that rich? Truly some of the most self-absorbed nonsense I've ever seen. You have a very good reason to not want to loan the dress, but you don't even need one. No is a full sentence, not the a-hole. It didn't even cross their mind how doubly painful it might be to watch your wedding dress being used in a wedding that isn't yours. NTA, I suggest taking the dress to a close friend's house to hang on to until this wedding is over. Carrot agreed. I wouldn't put it past them to steal it. Am I the antagonist for calling the police on a concerned woman? Important info according to my friends who think I'm an R. My son takes after his mom. He has brown skin and eyes and dark curly hair. I'm pale with blue eyes and dark straight hair. So we were at the store. I'm pushing the cart. And he's holding my hand. I'm looking at the shelf when I hear a woman say something in Spanish. I don't know what she said because my Spanish is mediocre and I have to pay attention to understand something. I don't know if she's talking to me or not. So I turn to look. A woman is leaned over talking to my kid. He doesn't speak Spanish, so he's just sort of staring at her. I start listening. She's asking him if he knows me and where his mom is. I interrupt her and say él no habla español. Necesita ayuda? She straightens up and glares at me, but she doesn't answer. She just stared at me for like 15 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but it feels like a long time when a stranger is staring at you. She stepped closer and reached out for my kid. I yanked him back and then picked him up. This woman was giving me the creeps, so I grabbed my cart and started to walk away. She followed us, and when I looked back she was on her phone. I thought she was texting. I headed for checkout. She got into the self-checkout line behind me, and that's when I realized she was filming us. I stepped over the barrier of the line and abandoned my groceries. She ducked under to follow me more. I called the police and explained my situation, and they said they would send someone. She was still following me, so I asked a store employee to get security. She said they didn't have any security during the day, but could get someone who spoke better Spanish to talk to her, which I accepted, because what could I do? So another employee walks up and talks to the woman in rapid Spanish. He told me she said my son didn't look like he knew me and wanted to ask him some questions. The employee said he could translate, but I said no, that we would wait for the police. He translated that, and then the woman left. I waited inside for the deputy to show up. He walked us to our car after I explained the situation. The situation was so unsettling that I ended up telling all of my friends. Some of them think I was a huge R. They said that woman did what I would want anyone to do if my kid was in trouble, and I should have been understanding, not potentially gotten her in legal trouble. I see their perspective, but I was freaked out. Am I the antagonist? As a mother, I would have acted similarly in your position. She may have been trying to kidnap your child because she snuck out of there. I wonder whether any of the staff members have ever seen her before or after. Comment by team member Corey. Now for the top comments. NTA. It is ludicrous her behavior. My daughter doesn't look much like me. I assure you she came out of my body. That woman scared your child more than providing a sense of safety because your child doesn't look enough like you. I'm sorry this happened. The woman was completely out of line. I feel like there's a mix of sexism and racism. Women are less likely to be under suspicion around kids. Apart from being BO dad, Op could have adopted the kid, or maybe was the kid's uncle, or family friend, or babysitter. The fact she didn't stare around for the cops tells me she knows she was in the wrong. If I was looking at this with further suspicion, what if the woman was trying to kidnap the kid, appear like the concerned citizen, while taking off with a kid that might look more like her? I don't expect this was the case, but honestly who knows? People be crazy. NTA. My cousin has had to deal with this sort of thing before. It's ridiculous. If you had kidnapped a child, you wouldn't bring them out shopping unless you had kept them long enough that they thought you were their parents anyway. Someone has watched too many criminal dramas on TV, especially without store security being an option. Calling the police was exactly the right thing to do. The second she tries to lay hands on your child, she crossed the line. There was every reason to believe that she would try to kidnap your son, all the while thinking she was saving him. Protect your child. Ignore your friends. Am I the antagonist for how I reacted over my family and friends saying I was my ex's one that got away? I dated my ex for 3 years. before he abruptly dumped me with no explanation. I found out I was pregnant shortly after, and I chose not to tell him, because I knew he and his family would make me get rid of it. I was raising my son alone until 8 months ago, when his lawyer contacted me to inform me my ex wanted a paternity test. Now, my ex is in our son's life, which would be okay if he didn't keep trying to get me to give him a second chance. For the last 5 months has been sending me and our son gifts weekly and saying all of the right things. Has won over all of my family and friends who think he's wonderful, but I don't trust him. The biggest reason I don't trust him is that he claims he knew I was pregnant and had given birth to a boy, but he won't tell me how he knew or why he never contacted me until 8 months ago. Nobody seems to understand why I'm not falling all over him already, and they keep trying to convince me to give him a chance. My cousin, sister and some of our friends were all talking about it recently. I was getting more annoyed the longer the conversation went on, since they all know I don't like talking about him. When they started saying I was his one that got away, I just couldn't hold it in anymore, and I yelled at them. I said things like, if they thought he was so great they were welcome to him. That they were all too blind and stupid to see he was up to something, and that I wasn't his one that got away, because he threw me away himself. I ended up leaving because they just kept arguing with me, and I was already regretting saying anything, and I didn't want to say anything worse. My sister told me the day after that I was acting like a bitch because I was upset I had to share my son with him, and I needed to not take it out on other people. Am I the antagonist? It's okay for you to not care. He had his chance and blew it. So it's just bad luck that he wants you back. Get a court order that specifies exactly when and how often he can see your son, and that it can only be done for purposes of your son. Comment by team member Taylor. Now for the top comments. NTA. Dig your heels in. He dropped you like a sack of potatoes, and you had so little trust in him. You hid the pregnancy for fear that he'd somehow force you to abort it. Snacks and flowers don't fix that. They need to back off. Make it a boundary. If they can't keep the conversation off you getting back together with your ex, you're leaving. My sister told me the day after that I was acting like a bitch because I was upset I had to share my son with him, and I needed to not take it out on other people. They started it. NTA. Your goal is a co-parenting relationship. Nothing more. If you have a lawyer, a suggestion is to go through them with the message. X has this amount of time with his son. Nothing more. Stop with the gifts and attempts at communication. Family. Atters I have no interest in X and never will. The subject is closed. If you continue to bring it up, I'll be taking a timeout from everyone. What life path you want to take is solely up to you. If family interferes, there may need to be consequences. NTA. You're not obligated to be with anyone, least of all the ex who abandoned you without reason. Set clear boundaries with your friends and family. If they don't listen, go low contact. As for the ex, do everything through the courts. That way, if he bails, you have legal recourse.